Welcome to the first episode of BattleBots at Home Season 3. Today, the journey for the giant disc will commence. Here's how the format will work. This season, we have a record-breaking 64 bots competing. Each of them will get free fights to prove themselves. And the 32 best performing bots will go into our Round of 32 Championship Tournament, where they will fight until only one bot will remain to take the title of champion and claim the giant disc. Now, with that out of the way, let's take a look at our first fight card. As you can see, we're kicking things off with a really interesting fight card. Burger Time will be having a food fight with Mac and Cheese. Disco Inferno and Anger Issues will face off in a duel to see which big disc vert is superior. And for our first main event of the season, the reigning champion Whiplash seeks to defend his title as it faces off against Cobalt, the winner of the New Blood Special. But for our first fight of the season, the Hammer Saw of Sawblaze will fight the powerful Flipper of Fall Damage. Who will get the first win of the season? Let's find out now. Three, two, one. Let the bot battle begin. First fight of the season. This is going to be an interesting one. Sawblaze brings down the Hammer Saw. Fall Damage, not the turd. So Fall Damage gets underneath Sawblaze and throws them across the arena upside down. Sawblaze steps right, but in the process they've taken massive damage as they've lost 1/3 of their dustpan, but they retaliate with a good attack with that Hammer Saw on the top of Fall Damage. Now they get behind them, and this is what Sawblaze is good at, controlling their opponents. Fall Damage gets a good flip, throws Sawblaze across the arena once again, but in the process they've lost their Flipper. And just like that, they're at a massive disadvantage. Sawblaze can just play with their food now, as Fall Damage has no real way of fighting back. And this fight may already be over, as Fall Damage gets hammered by the Polarizer and attacked by the Hammer Saw of Sawblaze. Sawblaze is showing no mercy as it hit them from behind once again. And Fall Damage has taken a lot of damage. And Fall Damage, they don't look likely to win this fight as they get tumbled over. They're on their side. And without that Flipper, they cannot self-right. And I think it's safe to say that it's all written in the stars for Sawblaze to win the first fight of the season. There you go, just throws Fall Damage into the corner. They attacking the Flipper to add insult to injury, the detached, severed Flipper. And as the countdown commences, Sawblaze gets the first win of the season and is on track to get into the top 32. Poor Fall Damage. I gotta say, Sawblaze never fails to impress me. Now, Fall Damage had some good moments to begin with. They got a good flip at the beginning, just froze Sawblaze around, and it even broke off part of the dustpan. Major damage is there, but Sawblaze was able to recover, and they attacked back with a massive strikes with that Hammer Saw. Just so much precision, it's so beautiful. Fall Damage gets another massive flip that was impressive, but in the process, their flipper broke off, and once that happened, they were defenseless. Sawblaze, surgical, they are dangerous. Up next, we've got ourselves a full course meal of destruction as Mac and Cheese and Burger Time battle each other. Who will get eaten alive in this delicious duel? Let's find out now. Three, two, one. Let the bot battle begin. This is sure to be a very interesting fight. Burger Time fires a shot right into Mac and Cheese's face. It does nothing. That doesn't surprise me. The burger attacking over ahead of that burger. And where else can you see two very famous foods face off against each other? I've always been more of a burger fan myself. But, you know, Mac and Cheese is pretty good, too. Speaking of the burger axe has come off, and Mac and Cheese gets underneath Burger Time. And now, with that massive grab and lifting design, just lifting up Burger Time. Time for pain, says Mac and Cheese. And suplex, that was incredible. Just suplexes Burger Time overhead. They can still self-right, but without that burger, they're in a lot of trouble. They still have a little sword. Never heard of having a sword with your burger, but whatever, I won't question it. But Mac and Cheese is not afraid. And Burger Time really needs to battle back here. Getting a few good shoves in, and it is an interesting fight so far. Mac and Cheese getting another good grab onto Burger Time and puts them into the screws. This is what Mac and Cheese can do. Don't let their food theme fool you. They're an amazing control bot, one of the best control bots you've ever seen. As that grabbing lifter gets a good grab and drops them on the sidewall. They're on the edge. And as we go and out of the arena you go, Burger Time has been dropped out of the arena by Mac and Cheese, and Mac and Cheese gets an amazing win to start off the season. I gotta say, Burger Time is a very interesting and unique bot, but unfortunately it was no match for the grabbing power of Mac and Cheese. Mac and Cheese took that hit from the burger and then ripped off the burger hammer. And from there on then, there was nothing they could do. It was all Mac and Cheese all the time. Just so good at grabbing Burger Time. And look at this beautiful suplex. Just an amazing move by Mac and Cheese. Just grabbing them wherever they could. Eventually, they got them stuck on the sidewall. Eventually, they grabbed them and just dropped them out of the arena. Your burger to go. In our next fight, we have Barnacles, a Swiss Army bot with multiple configurations. For this specific fight, they'll be using their vertical egg beater as they face off against the fast and aggressive vertical spinner of Hypershock. This should be an interesting matchup. Now let's head down to the box. Three, two, one. Let the bot battle begin. This sure is huge box rush by Hypershock immediately, and both of the side panels come off of Barnacles. Already in less than 5 seconds, they've done massive damage to their opponent. Hypershock really fast and furious, very aggressive driving, and the two bots just try and square up as Barnacles tries to get pointed towards Hypershock. Not entirely sure who has a more dangerous weapon, but Hypershock doesn't care as they have a powerful drive system. Barnacles getting killed. Oh, there goes the wedge. Hypershock's so fast. They drive up Barnacles, hit the wall, and breaks off their own wedge. And there goes another piece. Barnacles sends a piece of Hypershock across the box. Already massive damage from both robots. It is a really fast-paced, really fast, destructive match as Hypershock drives over Barnacles once again, pushing through the screws, and Barnacles has been flipped. And just like that, it's going to be over. Barnacles cannot self-right. Hypershock, such a chaotic, dangerous machine. You don't know what they could do. Oh, they hit the screws. The screws have been destroyed by Hypershock. The screws are now damaged. They're not moving anymore. And just like that, Hypershock has not only KO'd their opponent, but our own arena hazard. Hypershock, you're going to have to pay for that. That's expensive. But regardless, Hypershock will get the win. But you know who really lost? Us. The arena lost today. Hypershock really making a name for itself immediately. We'll get to it in a second, but Barnacles wasn't really sure what to do. They did some damage to Hypershock, but Hypershock did so much more. They flipped them over, and just like that, without a self-right mechanism, they couldn't self-right. Barnacles was killed, and then Barnacles, they weren't the only bot that got killed. Our screws got killed as well. Hypershock, very dangerous, very deadly to everyone. Hypershock, you are one bad, bad bot. Our next fight is going to be a special one, as it actually features our first ever fan-submitted bot from Lionel Copeland. I hope I pronounced that right. Say hello to Anger Issues, a bot with one of the heaviest and biggest weapons we've ever seen. But, speaking of large weapons, their opponent is another deadly vertical spinner in the form of Disco Inferno, a bot who has made a name for itself with its destructive success in MLU4's Robot Wars. Which one of these two large verts will come out on top? Let's find out now. Three, two, one. Let the bot battle begin. Two deadly spinners, one box. Anger Issues gets the first shot in. Another good shot on Disco Inferno. Disco Inferno fights back, getting a hit to the side of Anger Issues. A piece comes off, and these two deadly discs want to destroy each other as badly as possible. And already, Anger Issues gets hit right into the camera. Come on, be careful. Why do the bots hate our arena this season? Regardless, Anger Issues isn't deterred as they go after Disco Inferno once again. Disco Inferno pushes into the wall. There goes Disco Inferno's weapon. They've been decapitated, but in the process, Anger Issues on their side, and unfortunately, they cannot self-right. It is a heartbreaking way to lose. They were so close to victory. Disco Inferno has lost their weapon, but Anger Issues has lost the fight. Talk about getting your head in the game, or I guess out of the game. Anger Issues really impressed me. Got several good shots on Disco Inferno. Disco Inferno didn't know what hit him. Just some nice shots right into Disco Inferno's face. They weren't afraid, but Disco Inferno fought back, and they hit hard. One of the deadliest weapons we've ever seen. Anger Issues actually took those shots by a champ. They're actually more durable than I initially thought, but unfortunately, they just weren't able to self-right. They actually took off Disco Inferno's weapon, which would have won them the fight any other day, but they got flipped over, they couldn't self-right, and unfortunately, that was it for Anger Issues. We're officially at the halfway point of the episode, which means it only makes sense to take a look at our special main event between Cobalt and Whiplash. Up next, we have the single most threatening pink robot in existence. It's Heartbreak. They'll be fighting Spinna, who, if you couldn't already guess by the name, is a full-body Spinna. This should be an interesting matchup. Let's head down to the box right now. Three, two, one. Let the bot battle begin. Spinna spinning up the speed, froze Heartbreak across the box. So Heartbreak immediately comes back, closes the distance, bringing down that hammer. Oh, and a few pieces of Heartbreak go flying off. Spinna, very damaging machine. You gotta be careful as Heartbreak gets in their face once again. And oh, if you notice, the entire lower base of Spinna has been detached, and that means they can't move. Heartbreak attacking them anyways because they don't care, but the fight's already over, as it would seem. Oh, good slam into the wall, and as the countdown commences, Heartbreak celebrating. They went 0-3 last season, but now they got a dominant win over a dangerous robot. Heartbreak breaking hearts today. Despite being a very dangerous machine, Heartbreak was not afraid of Spinna at all. Spinna did do some damage, some really good damage, but Heartbreak brought down that axe, and they just did not care. They closed the distance, they got in their face, and they just absorbed the hit with that front wedge. Pieces flying off of Heartbreak, but Heartbreak not afraid. They don't care because they knew they just needed to survive long enough for Spinna to destroy itself, and that's what happened. The entire bottom part of the rod came off, and without that, they couldn't move. Heartbreak just getting a good hit on Spinna. They win the fight in spectacular fashion. Good job to Heartbreak. Our next fight features Witch Doctor, but not in the way you may think. The Witch Doctor you see on screen now won't be the one competing, as they ran into issues and couldn't get the bot to work. Rather than forfeit, the team has decided to substitute in the Season 1 version of Witch Doctor. It may be outdated, but it still packs a punch. But will it be enough to take down the multi-bot known as Venom and Chisel, two wedge bots built to control opponents with ease? Who will win this interesting matchup? Let's find out now. Three, two, one. Let the bot battle begin. Venom and Chisel taking on an older version of Witch Doctor. The one they wanted wasn't working, so they'll have to do what they can. Witch Doctor trying to do their best. The bot's trying to get a feel. Chisel getting behind Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor, I think this one may have drive issues. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, it was an outdated design that they just put in at the last minute in order to have something so they wouldn't have to forfeit. And right now they're literally just running into the wall, so this isn't looking so good so far. Venom tagging in, and all these Venom and Chisel, they were in the New Blood special. They didn't do that well, so all these bots have a lot to prove. And the top panel of Witch Doctor just comes off for no reason, so this is not looking good so far. And Venom and Chisel, I think by default they're ahead on damage, just because Witch Doctor has somehow done damage to itself. Another piece of Witch Doctor goes flying from itself for no reason. And this sure is an interesting fight. as none of the bots are really sure what to do. Witch Doctor just seems to be struggling with drive issues. They get hit in the Pulverizer, Venom behind them, hitting them in place. And poor Witch Doctor just doesn't really know where they are right now. And now Chisel coming in, and the two bots ganging up on them. This is what the multi-bot is meant to do. As long as they can avoid that disc, they should be fine. And they're doing a good job. They're just getting behind Witch Doctor. However, in theory, Witch Doctor could end this fight with just one hit from that disc, but they just can't seem to get it. Their drive doesn't seem to be good. They don't seem to know what they're doing. And so far, this is not looking good for Witch Doctor. But Venom and Chisel can't seem to capitalize either. They are having trouble coordinating their attacks. They need to work together. That's what they do as a multi-bot. And already, Chisel getting hit by the Pulverizer in there. Chisel hit by the Pulverizer once again. That tiny bot. That can't be good. Witch Doctor getting behind Venom for a quick second. But now Venom gets behind Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor pushes them back. Meanwhile, it would seem that I think Chisel is no longer moving. They seem to be dead in the corner. Yeah, they are. They're getting hit by the Pulverizer. And if Chisel really is dead, then it's all up to Venom now. Remember, the bots weigh the same, so if Witch Doctor wants to win, they'll have to KO both of them. Chisel's already down for the count, but I still think Venom and Chisel are both ahead, just in terms of damage and control, because Witch Doctor just seems to be hitting everything aside from their own opponents. But Venom isn't moving right now, and Witch Doctor gets a good shot. Right now, Venom just stuck on the wall. Witch Doctor not going to waste this opportunity. They need to end this fight quickly to make up for the points they've lost. And Venom might be down for the count, and they definitely are now as they're upside down. They can't move. And just like that, Witch Doctor claims victory from the jaws of defeat. It wasn't pretty, but they managed to KO both the multi-bots. And this version of Witch Doctor may not be the one we wanted, but it's the one we got. And so far, it gets its first win of the season. Chisel smashed by the Pulverizer. Venom upside down. Just like that, Witch Doctor gets a win. Look, I'll admit, this fight wasn't pretty, but hey, Witch Doctor did what they had to do. Yeah, there really isn't a lot to say. Venom and Chisel got some good attacks in, and Witch Doctor just had horrible drive issues, but eventually the two bots went down, and Witch Doctor, they get a win. Venom and Chisel go 0-1. Witch Doctor goes 1-0. That's the end of the fight. In our second to last fight, we have the very dangerous, very destructive, very deadly Bad Idea taking on FBF, the first ever full body flipper. Who will live? Who will die? Let's find out now. Three, two, one. Let the bot battle begin. FBF versus Bad Idea. This should be a fun fight. Bad Idea gets a good hit, takes off a piece of FBF, but FBF throws them high into the sky. They self-right that interesting, unique full-body flipper, but that massive spinner of Bad Idea. Oh, Bad Idea is out of the arena, and just like that, this fight is already over. Thanks to the power of FBF, the full-body flipper. This is what it does. This is why it's so unique. Just so much power. It froze the entire body, which froze the entire opponent with such power. Look at that. And eventually, Bad Idea just thrown right out of the arena just like nothing. FBF is definitely a bot to watch as the season progresses. Out you go, Bad Idea. Just thrown out of here. FBF, you are mean. Here we are. It's time for our main event, and it's sure to be an exciting one. It's a battle of undefeated bots as the reigning champion Whiplash takes on the new blood champion Cobalt. First, let's talk about Whiplash. This is the machine that managed to win 8 fights in a row last year and claim the giant disc. It's known for dominating its opponents, and it has never really faced a real challenge before. However, Cobalt will be hoping to change that. They didn't compete last year, but in the offseason, they won 5 fights in a row in order to win the new blood special. Similar to Whiplash, no one has been a real threat to them up to this point. But now it's time to see which of these two amazing bots is better. Neither one of these machines have ever lost a fight, but that's about to change. Who will keep their undefeated streak? Let's find out right now in this action-packed main event. 3, 2, 1. Let the main event begin. A battle between two of the best spots we have right now. The reigning champion gets a piece taken off of them immediately. Cobalt, not afraid. Another piece comes off of Whiplash. Cobalt just showing why they are so dangerous despite not competing last season. They did very well in New Blood Special and doing good now. Whiplash not sure what to do as Cobalt gets behind them, gets underneath Whiplash. This is bad, but Whiplash does a Uno reverse card to get behind Cobalt, and now they're the ones getting lifted up. What an amazing maneuver by Whiplash. Whiplash not afraid of Cobalt's massive weapon. That's two bots go head-to-head once again. Whiplash gets underneath, and they have flipped Cobalt. And despite its power, despite its amazing armor, despite all the amazing great things about Cobalt, it has one weakness, and that's the fact that it cannot self-right. And just like that, with one little flip, Whiplash has ended Cobalt's undefeated streak. And Whiplash has shown why it's one of the most feared bots in the competition and why they are a reigning champion. Cobalt is down for the count. Whiplash starts off their season with an amazing win. At the start, Cobalt was ahead as they take off the wedges of Whiplash, doing massive damage immediately, but Whiplash was not afraid. They're never afraid. They got all up in Cobalt's face, and they knew exactly what to do. Cobalt did get underneath them, and things looked scary, but look at this maneuver right here. Whiplash uses their lifter to get off of Cobalt, and then they immediately get behind Cobalt and gets a massive counter shot. This is why Whiplash is so dangerous. They can do things no other bot can, and they did exactly that as they flip over Cobalt. And without a self-right mechanism, Cobalt was done. This is why Whiplash is our champion, and I wonder if anyone can take them down. Whiplash is a monster. And just like that, we've officially reached the end of our first episode of the season. Just to recap, Fall Damage got sawed and blazed by Sawblaze. Mac and Cheese put Burger Time in timeout. Hypershock beat both Barnacles and the arena. Anger Issues ran into issues against Disco Inferno. Spinna spun out of control against Heartbreak. Venom and Chisel with Voodoo done in by Witch Doctor. Bad Idea had a really bad time against FBF. And in our main event, Whiplash put Cobalt back on the periodic table. And that's it for our first episode of the season. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.